Hello and welcome everyone to my Let's Look at Tomb Raider 2, the Golden Mask expansion statistics. This algorithm is 115. Wow, talk about lengthy title. Well, just like in the previous Tomb Raider installments that I made a Let's Play of, the Golden Mask expansion for Tomb Raider 2 is going to be no exception, in that I'm going to summarize the contents of what these 5 expansion levels bring to the table, and also reveal some information pertaining to my particular Let's Play. So whether you're about to play the expansion levels and sort of want to prepare yourself for what's up ahead, or you've played them in the past and want to refresh your memories, or just want to compare this expansion pack with the future or previous Tomb Raider installments, I think you're going to find this following video very interesting. So to make it a bit more organized, I decided to split it into several categories now. So we're going to explore the secrets found in kilometers traveled. So basically we're going to explore which geographical regions Lara walked through and how many secrets she found and what was the distance she traveled. Then we're going to move on to the items we have found category, the enemies we have killed, how many times we've died during our adventure, how many times we've saved the game, and also the time it took for us to complete the expansion levels. So to begin with, the geographical locations that Lara has explored during her Golden Mask adventure. One of these is Melnikov Island, part of the Aleutian Islands located in Bering Sea, part of Alaska. Lara's actually marked it down on her map in the main menu using her lipstick. The interesting thing about this island is that it doesn't actually exist, and as a closer look at the satellite map reveals, it's actually called a Makta Island. Now, it's exactly the same island Lara has marked down on her map. However, the developers have decided to rename it, probably to avoid some possible future legal issues or that sort of thing. Now, the reason I believe they decided to call it Melnikov Island out of all things is probably a smart reference to an 18th century Russian explorer, part of the many expeditions into the frozen wastes, that sort of thing. If you want to learn more about the topic, I'm going to provide a link to an article from Archaeology of Tomb Raider on this particular topic in the description below, so be sure to check it out. Now, in Melnikov Island, we have actually found 12 secrets and traveled 14.45 kilometers. Now, still retaining the model of 3 secrets per level from Tomb Raider 2, this tells us that we have explored Melnikov Island as a part of 4 out of 5 expansion levels. So basically, the majority of the expansion pack. Now, there is an important issue I want to raise here, and that is that if you have the Steam or the Good Old Games version of the expansion, you might encounter an issue, whereas you will just honestly find all 12 secrets, 3 in every single level, reach the final statistics screen after the credits roll, and you will only get registered 9 out of 12 secrets. Not only is this insulting and infuriating, but this also prevents you from unlocking the 5th bonus level. Now, there are basically 2 workarounds around this. It's a glitch, and a fan utility was made to sort of fix this. So a little patch. I'll provide a link to that in the description below as well if you plan to play the game. However, if you found yourself already finishing the levels and you don't really want to replay them again, you just want to move on to the bonus level, I'm also going to provide a link to a save file to the very beginning of the bonus level in the description below. All credit for that goes to Stella from Stella's Tomb Raiders.net. So yeah, but talking about the bonus level itself, this actually is the second geographical location explored in the Golden Mask expansion, and that is in Nevada, where Las Vegas is. We have found 3 secrets and traveled 3.36 kilometers. Now, unlike in the Tomb Raider 2, you don't actually get awarded any bonus items for picking up all secrets. The only purpose they serve in Melnikov Island is to unlock this 5th bonus level, and the only reason to collect them in this 5th bonus level is just, you know, that warm fuzzy feeling. That's pretty much it. Now, I'm not entirely sure. I've raised this issue during my Let's Play video of this 5th bonus level, if Lara was actually in Las Vegas or if it was genuinely just a nightmare in her head. So I'm more inclined towards believing that she wasn't actually physically present in Las Vegas. I think she just dozed off on a plane, traveling to some sort of convention, and recent events have just created this sort of nightmare in her head, which for me would make perfect sense. Nevertheless, it's a region explored within the expansion pack, so I'm just mentioning it here. Now, interestingly enough, the level with the highest number of kilometers explored is the very first one, the Cold War, 4.43 kilometers, but that's actually really unsurprising when you think about it, because it was the only level with the snow scooters. So obviously the level is designed in a way that you can cover quite a lot of ground in these beautiful things. Now overall, the entire expansion pack offers 15 secrets to be found, and Lara has traveled 17.81 kilometers during her adventure. Now, moving on to the items and pickups category, whilst still retaining the theme of the secrets, just like in Tomb Raider 2 core game, in the Golden Mask expansion levels, all secrets are once again represented by secret objects, but unlike the Chinese dragons, this time it's more of the gold-oriented theme, so we find 3 objects made out of gold. Now these are pile of golden coins, pile of golden bars, and a golden skull, with increasing difficulty pretty much. Now, to represent the 15 secrets that are to be encountered in the expansion levels, we have found 5 piles of golden coins, 5 piles of golden bars, and 5 golden skulls, the skulls themselves usually being the most challenging to actually find. So yeah, now there are also key items. These are items that we basically need to pick up and usually insert somewhere, or are somehow story related to the progression through the level. So these include keys, some rare gemstones to be placed in sockets, and also the golden mask itself. But this is where things will get really interesting, because this is the part where we will discuss the supplies offered throughout the course of Lara's adventure within the expansion. So this includes health packs, flares, and ammunition for various weapon types. So let's start with the health packs, shall we? There are 44 small health packs to be found in the adventure, which is quite a lot considering these are just very few levels. And we also get one from the very start. If you just start the new game, find yourself dropping into the icy pool in the Cold War level, and check your inventory open, you will find out that you already start with certain items. Now, one of these is one small health pack, so that is included here. As for large health packs, you also start with 1 large health pack, and you can find other 28 large health packs throughout the course of Lara's adventure. Now, the interesting thing you might have noted now is that whereas in Tomb Raider 1, the Unfinished Business, and Tomb Raider 2, the health packs looked pretty much the same with the red cross through, in the Golden Mask expansion, for whatever reason, they decided to retexture them into a green cross. I'm not sure why that's the case, but they stuck to the theme in Tomb Raider 3, 4, and 5. So this is how the health packs will be looking on from onwards. Now, as for the health packs usage, so overall there are 45 small health packs available, out of which we used 10, and 29 large health packs available, out of which we used 2. Now that means we have fully restored our health bar 7 times, which, interestingly enough, is the exact same amount of times we restored our health bar in the Unfinished Business expansion. So, just an interesting comparison. Now, moving on to a different kind of supplies, the flares, to sort of help us light our way through dark corridors, which there are quite a lot in the expansion pack. There were 30 flares packages in the entirety of the game. Now, this might seem like quite a lot, but it is, especially when compared to only 19 flare packages in the core Tomb Raider 2 game, which constituted of not more than 3 times as many levels, but also introduced the entire flare mechanics. So, you know, you'd be thinking they're gonna put a lot of them, sort of let you experiment with them and that sort of thing. But here in the Golden Mask expansion, they put 30 of them. That's insane. But I'm glad they did, because there were quite a lot of dark passages in the game. And every single package of flares yields 6 flares per pickup. Now, looking onto the inventory screen, that makes literally no sense, because once you open the flares package from your inventory instead of using a hotkey, you can see 8 flares stuck in that box. So I'm not sure what's the deal with that, but probably due to some balancing reasons they decided to only include 6 per pickup. Whatever, their decision. But even more confusingly enough, once again, the starting inventory. You will open it up once you start the new game, and you will see that you have 2 flares from the very beginning. Now, why this can be the equivalent of 1 flare pickup, meaning 6, I have absolutely zero idea. So overall, there are 2 flares from the very start, 180 flares to be found throughout the entirety of the game, so that's 182 flares total. Out of which, during the course of our adventure, we used 46 flares. And we were quite flare wasteful. If you remember, there's this sort of glitch where you want to throw a flare on the floor, but Lara will instead redraw a new flare completely. So we wasted quite a few as well, and still we have only used 46 out of 182. So I have no idea when did the developers expect us to use that many flares. Now, talking about flares, once again, I have to raise an important note. The Lara's home level the tutorial level is accessible from the expansion main menu, so there's technically another package of flares there, but it, just like in the Tomb Raider 2 game, it doesn't carry over or anything, but I just felt I'm gonna mention it here. So there's additional package of flares in the tutorial level. Now we're getting to some serious business: the weapons, ammunition, and our entire usage of this kind of supplies. So first of all, there are Lara's trusty, reliable pistols loaded with infinite amount of bullets. It was a pretty tricky statistic to find out, but thankfully I managed to calculate that during the course of our adventure we have used 348 bullets from these pistols. But as I said, there is an unlimited number of bullets, so you pretty much use these when you don't really want to waste anything else, or when you just want to illuminate dark paths and don't want to waste a flare, which, as I just showed before, is not really much of a bother in the expansion levels. Next, the next weapon, the shotgun. Now, interestingly enough, we had the shotgun from the very beginning in the Cold War level, and it was preloaded with 2 shotgun shells. Now, if you own a weapon and you would encounter a place where a weapon would be available for a pickup, instead it's just going to be replaced with an ammunition pack. That is the case in Tomb Raider 2 and in the Golden Mask expansion levels as well. However, if you pick up a wholly new weapon, which was the case in the bonus Nightmare in Vegas level, where basically we had a new starting inventory, literally nothing carried over, and we did not yet possess a shotgun, once we picked it up, it was preloaded with 1 ammunition pack, and that is 2 shotgun shells. This might sound confusing, but this is a mechanic that I've explained in previous statistics videos as well. Basically, the sooner you found a weapon, the more ammunition you will get. So we found it once in the Nightmare in Vegas level, and as for the ammunition, we have found 72 shotgun shell packs. Now that is a huge amount of shells, but every shotgun shell pack only constitutes of 2 shots. So overall, considering the 2 shells available from the start and 146 shells to be found during the entirety of the game, that's 148 shells in the entirety of the expansion levels, out of which we fired 117. Now that is quite a lot of shells. We really put that shotgun to great use. Once again, this is one of my very favorite weapons, and I just love the sweet, loud noise it makes when we just blast something in its face. So yeah, a little favorite of mine. Now, moving on to the next weapon in line, the automatic pistols, which basically can sort of efficiently replace our common pistols, seeing as they have the same rate of fire, same range, but more power per shot and the sweetest sound imaginable. These automatic pistols we have encountered twice during the course of our adventure, once in the 4 core levels of the expansion and once in the Nightmare in Vegas bonus level. Each time they were preloaded with 1 ammunition package, that is 40 bullets, so for 2 pickups, 80 bullets. Now we have also found the ammunition clips for these weapons 31 times, each yielded 40 shots, so overall there were 1320 bullets available for automatics, out of which we used 508, and mind you, that is me really enjoying to use these guns. So whilst I was trying to use them quite a lot, we still only used a small fraction of what is available in the entire expansion, so they were very, very generous with them, which is great. Now moving on to more powerful handguns and even the automatics, the Uzis, which have enormous rate of fire, which obviously results in greater damage per second, but not a very reliable range. We have found these twice, once again in the core 4 levels and then in the Nightmare in Vegas level. Each time we were awarded 80 bullets, that's a total of 160 bullets just for finding them twice. During the entirety of adventure we have also found 37 ammunition pairs for these beauties. That's 80 shots per 1 pair of clips, so overall that's 3120 bullets available for Uzis, which might seem quite a lot, but it's a sort of an average amount considering how fast they consume the ammunition. And out of which we fired, well, 1142, about over one third of that. So once again we put them to good use, but not as much as the automatics, and sure not as much as the shotgun. As for a two-handed weapon, just like the shotgun, the harpoon, which only point of use is in underwater when you can't really line up a shot on an enemy from the surface, or if you're like me and want to engage the very first enemy the white shark with the harpoon just for the fun of it. We have found it only once in the core 4 levels, just in the very beginning of the first level, and this awarded us with 3 harpoons, which is basically the equivalent of 1 ammunition pickup, saying that there were 10 bundles of harpoons to be found during the entirety of our adventure. Each awarded us 3 harpoons, so that's a total of 33 harpoons available, out of which we fired 23. I mean, really put that harpoon to good use. Wanted to sort of feel like, you know, we're making some use of what we're given, even though we could do it way more efficiently, but it's just all part of the fun, you know, maximizing a certain weapon's potential. Moving on to the arguably most powerful ordnance in the game, the M16. We found it only once, as just like the harpoon, it was available in the Cold War level, but not available in the Nightmare in Vegas level, and we were awarded with 1 ammunition package, the equivalent of 40 bullets. And later on we have found 29 additional ammunition packages for the total of 1200 bullets available for M16. A lovely round number. Now out of this we have used over a half, that is 637 bullets that we fired. But once again, we wanted to introduce some sort of weapon variety, and the M16, whilst being insanely powerful and having the longest range available out of all weapons, kind of like shotgun and harpoon, it is unwieldy being two-handed, as in whenever you start running or stop running or start and stop jumping, Lara will have to re-aim at her enemy, making it rather unwieldy. So what you need to do is basically climb up on a safe spot and shoot your enemies down one by one. That's the best use for this weapon. And finally, the very last portable weapon available, the grenade launcher. Once again unavailable in Nightmare in Vegas, however available to be found in the second Fool's Gold level. Once we pick up the grenade launcher, we've been awarded with 2 grenades, once again the equivalent of 1 ammunition pickup for grenade launcher. All the grenades you find are basically pairs of grenades. These we have found 15 of, to the overall of 32 grenades available, out of which we've used 5 grenades. Now, as for the grenade launcher, just like in Tomb Raider 2, the same, whether intentional design or a glitch, the same phenomenon applies, that whenever you defeat an enemy with a grenade launcher, they are blown to pieces, and you get awarded 2 instead of 1 kill. This for me kind of ruins the whole point of statistics, so I refrained from using the grenade launcher to kill the enemies. However, we have used 5 of the grenades to weaken the very final boss of the 4th level, and then finish him down with M16, if I remember correctly. Yeah, but we're gonna get to the enemies in a short while. Now, I did call the grenade launcher the last portable weapon available. However, there is another more unwieldy weapon available, and that is the machine guns mounted on certain scooters. Now, unlike the black snow scooters belonging to Fiammanera in Tomb Raider 2, the ones in Golden Mask expansion belong to Avalanche, and they're orange. So whilst not as cool looking, they are of the exact same performance when it comes to the damage they deal, the rate of fire, and the movement speed. So unlike normal scooters, you can't really use the control key to speed up for the turbo mode. Instead you shoot your machine guns, which is something we had great fun in the Fool's Gold level, and out of the infinite supply of bullets that you have for these beauties, we have used 1216 shots. So that sums up the ammunition usage, the flares and health packs usage, and brings us to the total number of pickups and supplies and items available in the entirety of the expansion levels, and that is 331 pickups available, and that is especially impressive considering these are only 5 levels. Still relatively big, so it makes sense. Now, there is also that 1 flash package you can pick up in Lara's home tutorial level, but obviously I did not include it into the total number of items to be found in the expansion levels themselves. Now, as for the level that is the winner of the highest number of pickups, not only in the Golden Mask expansion, but in the Tomb Raider franchise so far, is the bonus level, the Nightmare in Vegas, with 75 pickups. Now, in one level that is an insanely impressive number, but it all makes sense, seeing as you start with only your stopwatch and pistols, you work your way up, and you have to defeat T-Rexes and the Tornarsut boss at the very end. So you start with nothing, and you have to defeat pretty much 3 bosses and quite a lot of human enemies as well in that level. So it makes complete sense that you would find quite a lot of supplies for such hazards up ahead. But talking about putting supplies, well, ammunition especially, to good use, since the Tomb Raider 2, the game actually keeps track of the total number of shots you fired and the total number of shots you've actually hit your target with. So a little bit of effort, you can actually come up with your own accuracy score. For us, in the Golden Mask expansion levels, this was 4,196 shots fired, out of which 3,248 have actually hit their target. Now this of course depends on what sort of weapon you use. With shotgun, it's one shot, it's very slow rate of fire. With high precision guns like the M16 you see Lara carrying here, you will almost always hit your target. With Uzis or the machine guns mounted on scooters, you rarely will. So some weapons actually improve your accuracy, the others are detrimental to that score, but overall we chose a very balanced approach to try to put all the weapons to good use, and the resulting score is 77% of accuracy, which I think is relatively decent. Now, as for the top shots fired level that no doubt actually messed up our accuracy score, was the Cold War, because as you remember, we tried to put the machine guns mounted on a scooter to good use by shooting at an enemy from a slope. However, this did not end up too well, we had trouble to connect, and ultimately I think we spent about 2 minutes trying to hit the guy with no success. So that's 1,474 shots fired just in that level alone, which is an insane amount. But all this talk about ammunition and shooting eventually had to lead to one thing, and that is the kills topic. The number of creatures Lara mercilessly put down during her short stay in Melnikov Island. Now, to bring a bit of order into this chaos here, I'm going to split into several categories, and those are going to be animals of the land, animals of the air, animals of the sea, followed by human enemies, and finally some mythical beasts Lara managed to defeat. So I'm going to save the best for the last. So to begin with, these small cute little rats that just want to nibble on her shoes, Lara put 29 of them down in her quest to protect her shoes, because her shoes mean the entire world to her. As for bigger beasts, the snow leopards that just want to rip Lara to shreds, but I'm sure they would do so playfully, Lara put 16 of them down to protect herself. And, which I consider actually a very lovely, well, reference for us Tomb Raider players from the past, wolfies. We haven't seen wolfies since the times of Peru in Tomb Raider 1, and for some reason the developers just decided to put 3 of them in the same room like that, in the Furnace of the Gods level. So it was pretty rewarding to hear wolfies dying again, especially from shotgun blasts. I think that makes me really sadistic, but for me it was just a nice little reference. And followed by that, the polar bears. We killed 2 of these guys, and unlike the bears in Peru in Tomb Raider 1, these guys weren't as adorable and lazy. These were beasts bent on destruction. They took so much health away from us, and they were faster than snow leopards. It's insane. So as for these scary guys, we put 2 of them down. Once again, I think this was kind of a throwback to the times of Peru in Tomb Raider 1. Now, as for, once again, familiar enemies, we remember the Doberman doggies from Tomb Raider 2 belonging to the Fiamanera masters, but this time these were belonging to the Avalanche terrorists, and, well, Lara had to put 10 of them down as they were unleashed from their chains, trying to rip Lara to shreds, and failed miserably doing so. But talking about miserable failure, we have encountered 10 vultures that were too impatient to wait for Lara to die and feast on her corpse. Instead they tried to do it themselves and once again failed, so we took 10 of these flying enemies down. And as for a more stronger variety, the mighty eagles. Now, we killed 5 of these things, but on a closer inspection you can see that they look familiar yet different somehow from those in Tomb Raider 2, and you would be correct, because in Tomb Raider 2 they were completely brown, whereas here, just like with the health packs that the developers decided to retexture, in this case they retextured their heads to be white, which I don't know if it's in accordance with some sort of eagles living in the region, but I really like what they did. They look way cooler like that. Now, moving on to the creatures of the sea, the golden catfish. Once again, these fish, very aggressive bastards, should look familiar from the Temple of Jeanne level in Tomb Raider 2, but this time they somehow managed to survive in the molten gold, and their skin adjusted, so they are genuinely goldfish. We had to put 5 of them down, no story ever tells you that golden fish are aggressive bastards. They tell you they make your wishes come true. Well, that is a lie. And finally, the ruler of the watery waves again, the Great White Shark. Now this was kind of a nasty surprise for new players. You just dropped into an icy pool at the very beginning of the level with not even a harpoon available, unless you decide to do a little bit of exploring, and you have to take the bastard down. Now, new players will probably start thinking, oh shit, how many of these things are we going to encounter? Well, thankfully it was the first and the final one. So, that's it for the animals, but it gets even more interesting with human enemies around. Now, in Alaska, on Melnikov Island, Lara has encountered Avalanche terrorist members, although they're called terrorists by the game manual, but they're pretty much after the same thing as Lara, the Golden Mask. It's just a very, very, very unfriendly competition who gets there first, so it's really nothing personal. But anyway, these guys are actually part of the same organization, but us gamers will pretty much perceive them as retextured Fiamanera cultists. But interestingly enough, we have also encountered Fiamanera cultists in the Nightmare in Vegas level in Nevada, so once again leading me to believe that it was just a nightmare, because Fiamanera is finished. So yeah, so that's kind of the two organizations we were fighting in the Golden Mask expansion. Now, kind of the basic grunts of both organizations were the thugs. Whatever they were carrying, they came in quite a few varieties. They just wanted to smack Lara's head with it, and failed miserably doing so, really, because you don't really pick up a club into a gunfight, but that's what they did anyway, and that's why we killed all 23 of these guys. Next up in line were the, well, Fiamanera cultists, the hitmen with their silenced pistols. We killed 9 of these guys, but whew, once they get into their fighting stance and take an aim, they will just not stop firing until you're dead. Very nasty. Thankfully they can't really take a beating, because they prefer lovely suits as opposed to some body armor. Now, tougher than that, from close range, were the shotgun wielders. We killed 13 of these guys. So once again, whilst they wear brown pants in the Tomb Raider 2, here they are blue jeans, which is confusing because blue jeans were the guys carrying AK rifles in the Tomb Raider 2. However, these guys are not in the Golden Mask expansion, only their shotgun wielding counterparts. Now, trickier than that were the flame-throwing guys. Holy hell. Just exactly the same as in Tomb Raider 2, however, placed in way more trickier situations, and once these guys get a jump on you and there's no water around, you can pretty much just reload the game and start over. There's not much else you can do unless you manage to put them down very quickly, because thankfully they have very low amount of health. Now, the most common enemy of the Avalanche organization, considering we're in Alaska, were the very warmly dressed, how would I call them, skiing mask guys. These guys with their, I think they're Uzis or something like that, something semi-automatic. We killed 30 of them, and taking orange jackets into snow is really like painting a target on your ass. I don't really see the point, but well, for Lara with M16 they were no trouble at all. Now, followed by that, once again, guys who dress up warmly and also operate some serious ordnance were the guys on machine-mounted scooters. Now, these guys were so much fun to kill in the Fool's Gold level, because we both had scooters on and we could just have a lovely duel like that. It was brilliant, it was so much fun, and I'd love to do that again soon. Now, when it comes to human enemies, this is a bit of a dilemma with the Inuits. Now, at first, you notice that they come in two varieties. They are basically these human ones and then spiritual ones. And first they appear as allies, but later on they actually trick Lara into falling into a cage, and they carry her over as a sacrifice to Bigfoots and Sasquatches. So it's pretty much up to you to decide whether to kill them or not. Once again, they're just an exact retexture of the Barkhang Monastery monks from Tomb Raider 2, and once again, a dilemma whether you decide to keep these guys as your allies or kill them. For the sake of statistics and lack of better sport, we decided to kill all of them. So that means we have killed 7 of these sort of human resurrected Inuits from the ages past, and 5 of these sort of spirits that we've put to rest. Now I hope you can sort of see them on this picture over here. But yeah, now this is a very similar situation we got into in the Barking Monastery, cornered with nothing but a shotgun by several angry men with spears. Oh boy. Now, yeah, so we decided to kill them as well. Now, as for more mythical creatures, Bigfoots or Sasquatches, kind of the gods that were worshipped by the ancient Inuits and that were offered many sacrifices in terms of people and animals. Yet they weren't really that impressive up close, and once again for our gamers, they're pretty much just brown retextured yetis from Tibet, so it's kind of ruins the whole mystery for me. Nevertheless, their screams are terrifying and they are so much fun to kill, and we killed 16 of them. Now, moving on to bigger, meaner things, we did not expect T-Rexes in Las Vegas, but they were there nevertheless, although, come to think of it, there were hints of them on the Three Kings convention posters all over the place. I think you can see one of them in the distance over there. So, I remember getting heart attack each time these guys just spawned out of nowhere and the ground started shaking. It was great fun, and this time around they did not eat us nor step on us and crush us to death like in Tomb Raider 2. So, yay! And finally, the biggest and meanest boss of them all, Tornar Suk, which is basically a retextured Guardian of the Talion, but here we have a lovely detail on him. He looks actually kind of cute like this, not really dangerous. Now, we killed this guy twice, and once again, I believe there is only one of these guys, one Tornar Suk, one deity that we killed in the kingdom level, if I'm not mistaken, by putting the golden mask back in its place. So we returned the artifact, yet this guy rewarded us by trying to kill us. I'm not entirely sure what was going on there. Nevertheless, 5 shots from a grenade launcher and a couple of M16 bursts, and it was all over. And then again in Nightmare in Vegas level, the final boss, which once again was just Lara having nightmares. Come on, seriously. Now, that brings us to the total rundown. So that's 187 hostile enemies available and 12 possible allies. That's 5 and 7 Inuits, 5 spirits, 7 human-like guys, which we decided to kill, which brings us to the total of 199 kills, which is kind of infuriating because I was really hoping for a 200 kills milestone, but we're barely there. Oh my god. And we could have reached that milestone if it wasn't for these two bastards. Now, these guys I don't count either as hostiles or enemies. Hope you can see them standing on the columns over there. These are once again Inuit spirits, however they're not reanimated like the rest of them. They are just static objects. If they would be reanimated, Lara could mow at least one of them down with her M16 and we would reach the 200 kills milestone. Unfortunately, there is no way to reanimate them, and thus you can't really kill them. It's a sad story, I know. Now, as for the winner of the level with the highest number of kills in the expansion pack, and watch out, the Tomb Raider franchise so far was the Fool's Gold level with 62 kills. That is an insane amount of kills. It was this entire Russian base occupied by Avalanche members with all the animals, and just, oh, it was a bloodfest. This level just is a bloodfest, and it's a great fun. Now, things are great fun not only when things go our way, but also when we fail miserably, and that is exactly what happened 7 times during the course of my Let's Play. Lara managed to get herself killed in 7 different occasions whilst I was recording, and some of them were more hilarious than the others. So first of all, in the Fool's Gold level, the very second one, we just... I don't even know how to put this, we just died. We were looking around and we died. It's true, we had quite a low amount of health available, but somehow, from the rooftops, one of the double-barreled shotgun wielders must have sniped us. From that distance, that is quite the feat. Basically, this is one of those random moments where you just have no idea what exactly happened. But it happened. Then later on, we're so greedy, we just went to pick up flares, not paying any attention to the boulder coming our way, and we paid the price. But look at Lara. She's still holding one flare, like saying her final farewell. It's adorable in a way. Now, later on, whilst we were climbing the majestic golden waterfall, we just miscalculated our steps and dropped down and broke Lara's neck, and her back, and her legs, and her arms as well. Next up, in the Golden Village, once we managed to climb the Golden Waterfall, and we were very cleverly ambushed by some of the Avalanche members who somehow managed to get there before us, and yeah, I was really impressed by them at that point. What I was not impressed with was Lara burning to death randomly. So basically, one of the tiles are lethal even though they're not entirely covered in gold. But some of the tiles are safe even whilst partially covered by gold, so it's really just this very random thing that I was unable to figure out. So yeah, there we go. We managed to burn in the very source of the infinite gold. Thankfully this time Lara did not turn into a golden statue like in Palace Midas. That was just disturbing. But talking about a funny death, I remember climbing up on the treetops of the Bigfoot Kingdom, and whilst we managed to take one of these guys out, the moment we climbed, another one just grabbed Lara by her neck and threw her around until he finally just smacked her down and it was all over. But his screams of agony whilst doing that were just hilarious. What was not hilarious was getting crushed by this sort of Tornasuk imitator, copycat, in the Nightmare in Vegas level, and yet somehow dying without dignity as he was standing over Lara screaming and, well, just doing something that really resembled jerking off. I can't really put it in any other way. But I think we should just move on and try not to relive the most traumatizing moments of Lara's life, or quite many lives she had led. Instead, let's look at the saves, the amount of saves. So basically, during the course of me doing the trial runs of the game and also recording, that means 2 playthroughs, all 5 levels, I've saved 41 times, which is good because I managed to keep it beneath 50, and considering how large and dangerous these levels are, and also me not being as experienced with them as with the second core game, I'm really happy we managed to keep it at 41, basically beneath 50. But talking about the playthrough itself, it'll be interesting to take a look at how fast Lara was. From the time she was dropped into the icy pool from that bloody helicopter in the very first level, the Cold War, till the time she defeated Tornarsuk for the second time in the Nightmare in Vegas level. So basically, this took her 2 hours, 47 minutes and 19 seconds, as in clean playthrough time. And now, obviously, there is going to be difference between the actual Let's Play playlist of my run through the game, because I'm including many failures and I'm talking, stalling, delaying, and once I die and have to replay something, I usually do it much faster. So the actual Let's Play time was 3 hours, 15 minutes and 42 seconds, which leads to the time difference in the playthrough and the Let's Play time of 28 minutes and 23 seconds. But as for the level, with the not only the longest level in terms of the kilometers traveled, but also the longest level in terms of the time it took for us to complete was the very first one, the Cold War, which must be really intimidating to the new players to the expansion, seeing as the first level is the very longest. It took us 42 minutes and 21 seconds to complete. It's just ginormous. So that's it for the very last chapter of this short summary of the contents of the Golden Mask expansion, and yeah, hopefully you found this really interesting or somehow useful, and I do intend to keep this tradition going on for the next Tomb Raider installments. That's right, I plan to be working on Tomb Raider 3 Let's Play in the future. I'm currently practicing playing the PS1 version and also the PC version in preparation for that, because I'm not as familiar with the game as I'm with the previous 2 ones. And it's going to be the toughest challenge yet, so I'm fairly intimidated by it, but I'm sure we'll do just fine, right? So, thank you very much for being with me on this, well, last experience with Tomb Raider 2, and I hope to see you guys next time.